Everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video, and we're a little bit later today as I somehow had this crazy intuition that patch notes would be dropping today, as well as a balance patch going live literally today. This whole thing going live as I'm recording this probably an hour or so after this video goes live around 10 a.m. Pacific, and we'll see changes to Druid, Rogue, and Paladin. And Druid got hit particularly hard. We're gonna go through all the changes. There's no buffs, it's all nerfs, as well as there's some battlegrounds changes and some bug fixes. And if you enjoy the content on the channel, as always, if you feel like I've earned your subscription, please hit that sub button down below. Give the video a like, it helps us out a lot. So yeah, patch 28.4.1 launching today brings bug fixes and balance changes for Hearthstone and Battlegrounds. And we have this dev comment here as this is our first balance patch after the launch of the Delve into Deep Home mini set. The overall goal of the patch is to help the mini set launch in two ways: reducing the power and popularity of some of the dominant decks from before the mini set that are continuing to see a lot of play. That's Rogue, because that was like the only thing that was seeing a lot of play, and toning down some mini set cards that didn't land how we wanted. It's too early in the new meta for buffs, but we'll keep an eye out for those opportunities in our upcoming balance patches. Looking a little further ahead, some of the cards we're adjusting are cards that will be rotating out of standard with the next expansion. We'll take another look at them when the time comes to see if they should be reverted when they're out of standard, because typically once a card goes from standard to wild, they'll look and see like, should we revert it, put it back to its normal version? There's a good chance some of these will have that happen. So first, we do have Velorok, the Deceiver. We had a good feeling this card would change, and they are not going with the mana route. They are not going with the condition route. It's still going to be a pretty busted card, but instead of being a 3/6, this was like my first suggestion I made a long time ago. They're going to make it a 3/3. So you play it, you can't really just tempo it out and have it like stay and live and snowball, right? Like you would just, that was one of the things you do, is just rush to get it out. Turn like 2 sometimes, or 3. I think I saw it once on turn 1, and it's like unkillable. Now when it's played, it can be absolutely removed unless there's like, it hits a buff that they can play for cheaper. Obviously Shadow Step is really good with it, but again, to me, that's a Shadow Step problem that should be addressed at some point that will never be addressed. But regardless, I mean, it's losing half of its health. That has to be significant. I think it will still be a good card. I just don't think it'll be outright broken, because again, one of the broken parts of it is just you can play it so early and have it not die, have it make value trades as well, right? Value trade Shadow Step hit in. It's a very big deal, and it's not the only nerf for Rogue either. I was surprised they're actually nerfing another Rogue card, but again, this should be pretty big. I mean, making it 4 mana probably be safer, like a 4 mana 3, 4, or 5. We'll see how it plays out, but still probably a playable card, just not nearly as busted. The other Rogue nerf is Shatter Shambler. Basically, they are taking away the mana cheat from this card. What? Rogue without mana cheat? Shatter Shambler now reads Battle Cry. The next Death Rattle minion you play immediately dies. So you can't just play this and then play Coin Scourge Illusionist and have it die and get Drilly and play it, right? Or play this Shadow Step, play it. Again, Shadow Step problems, and discount your next one by 2. Death Rattle minion by 2. So again, that scam that Rogue has been like just abusing heavily, and it's the other pretty busted part of that deck, is getting nerfed. It doesn't kill it. Again, Scourge can still do the same thing. It just, you can't do it as soon. So you can't scam this really early and hope, like, typically have it survive, and the Shatter Shambler scam dies a little bit quicker. And they do have a dev comment here of Excavate Rogue as an example of a pre-mini set deck that we wanted to tone down a little to make room for new strategies. We're happy that our recent buff to Velorok has facilitated this deck that people clearly love playing, and we don't want to undo that, but it's just a bit too powerful and popular. It's had its time, okay? These changes to Velorok and Shatter Shambler reduce the early game blowout potential of Excavate Rogue to keep what's fun about playing the deck, but give opponents more of an opportunity to respond. So you can still do all the same stuff, right? Do all like infinite random spells and do Velorok shenanigans. It's just not going to be nearly as busted. So we'll see if it sees any play, right? Like, we love to play it because it's so fun, right? And then it's not like uber broken. all of a sudden I don't want to play it nearly as much. That's the competitive players. I'm sure people that just like playing Hearthstone to have fun will enjoy it. Now on to the Druid Massacre. Cactus Construct. This is one of the best cards out there. This hits every Druid deck, including Treant Druid. It's a pretty minor nerf, but was one I suggested. Making the minion you summon instead of a 1/2, you get a 1/1. That's it. Minor difference, but allows for it to not make, little value trades and all of that. So again, that'll hurt the card. I think it's still probably auto play in most decks. Getting that 2-drop value can be really good. Let me get like a Flint 2 or another Astalor. I think this card still sees a lot of play, but again, nice to see it toned down. Herald of Nature. This was the other, there's the outlier cards. This Cactus Construct, Herald of Nature, and I think like Cultivation somewhat for Treant Druid. They're going to nerf this. This is rotating soon. I imagine it gets changed when it goes back to what it was, but instead of +1/+2, it's +1/+1. So again, Druid. Paladin does get nerfed later. Treant Druid does get hit. It's not forgotten about. It is one of the most popular decks out there, and this helps make it not nearly as big as a blowout, because when this card hits, it basically is game winning. And it might still be at +1/+1, but half the health is a pretty nice change. But wait, there's more Druid nerfs, and we're not done. There's still more after this. It's crazy. Pendant of Earth now reads, instead of you gain armor equal to its cost, you discover a minion from your deck, restore health to your hero equal to its cost. This card's terrible now. They just killed it. They outright killed this card. It's more in line with Priest, but now it doesn't really have Druid flavor at all, right? The dual class cards typically have that dual class flavor where, Priest likes to discover stuff from their deck. I guess so does Druid, but the restore health is more Priest. I guess you can make an argument that it's still kind of dual class favored, but yeah, you play this on 3 and you restore 20, it's better in the late game if you've taken damage, but not it's just always better to have armor outside of plate breaker stuff. It's worse. I guess it's better if you want to try and activate that 4/4 that gets you the dormant location, right? I can't even remember. Share Barrel Brim, that one. I guess it's better with that, but this card just got gutted. They absolutely gutted this, and I like the Reddit alternative of armor for the health of the minion, but instead, yeah, it's just restore health. So no more 20 armor, no more cheating out the 8-drop, right? The armor taunt, you can't do that anymore. This completely guts the card. We'll see if it's a War Song style nerf, but that does seem pretty darn drastic, I'm not gonna lie. And then Shattered Reflections also gets hit. Still not the last Druid nerf, there's another one. This one now, it no longer gives you a copy of the minion it adds a copy to your deck and battlefield, no longer into your hand. So you still get, I don't know if I love this one, right? You play Unar, you Shatter Reflections it, you still get a copy on the battlefield, so you can refresh and then do another thing with Unar and get one more into your deck. You just don't get it into your hand. So it's a little bit less value, but the Unar scam kind of stays. This one, why can't I just say choose a non-Titan minion? Wouldn't that be nice? I don't know. We'll see how it plays out, but this one I'm definitely not as keen on. But Druid's getting hit so hard that maybe they didn't want to absolutely murder every card, right? They really are nerfing Druid super hard. So we'll see. But it's a little bit less value. It makes your fizzle worse, I guess, right? The Eonar is not going into your hand, so you don't fizzle and get another one possibly. It's obviously worse, right? It's less value. It just doesn't take that whole Titan scam away. But again, it's an improvement, I guess, right? And I can't say it's pure power creep on Sathravar anymore, but it still kind of is. And then lastly, the last Druid nerf, I'm thrilled. Due Process, even though this card isn't why Ramp Druid is good, it's not a reason why Druid is broken. It's just a badly designed card. I hate it. And this is a great change for Wild. Honestly, this card is way more impactful in Wild, and Due Process going to 4 slows it down so freaking much, makes it way harder to Solar Eclipse. It's just one of their biggest mistakes they've made, and they saw for the second it was playable in Wild, oh god, what did we make? Okay, let's make it 4. So you can still play it, but there's a huge downside to playing, right? 4 mana instead of 2, super significant, and this card deserves it. Just freaking loathe it. It's not a well-designed card, and I would have rather just be like 2 mana for the next 3 turns. You know, your players draw an extra card or something. You could have done that too, but yeah, 4 mana, I love to see it. And Dev comment about Druid. There are a few powerful Druid archetypes that we wanted to address in this patch. Cactus Construct is a powerful card across Druid decks that had room to be a bit weaker. The Herald of Nature change makes early trained Druids boards a little easier to react to. Pendant for Earth was adjusted so that it can still be a strong defensive tool later in the game, like I said, but isn't as strong as early. As strong, just useless. Proactive stall tool. Shy Reflections causing too many reflections lead to repetitive gameplay, so we took 1 reflection away. Finally, we can do process because the game is less fun when decks like Mildred are competitive and meta warping. We still want cards like that to exist for players. Why? Who are you? Why do you like it? I mean, you can like whatever you want, but I'm gonna be a little bit grumpy about it. But we don't want them to be prevailing ladder strategy. They just saw how bad that is. I'm like, seriously, no. Paladin gets nerfed. Surprisingly, Boogie Down gets a fundamental rework. Basically, it goes from 3 mana to 4 mana. Keeps the holy tag, but it summons 2 cost minions from your deck. However, Finale, instead of giving them taunt, you get another. So it's like a call to arms, kind of, but still like worse. It's like you just can't make it the same level as Call to Arms. Call to Arms, you just get 4 2-drop or 3 2-drops right out the gate. Boogie Down, now you get 3 1-drops. Like, all right, like I don't know. It's still probably a decent card, but it's been the best card in Pally for so long. It'll be very nice to see what it looks like without this, although it does discount your Garden's Grace a little bit faster, so maybe there's upside to that. However, we also have Garden's Grace, of course, not less than 1. They're just taking away +1/+1 from the buff, so it'll come down a bit faster with Boogie Down, if Boogie Down's good enough, but Garden's Grace now gives a little bit less lethality, and the Wind Fury combo is a little bit less great, but still a really busted card. Like, it's a pretty minor change compared to Boogie Down, which, yeah, you do get another minion. Like, it's not terrible. It's just, I feel like in comparison to Call to Arms, it's actually quite hilarious. And then we have the Dev comment, a Paladin is looking strong. After the mini set, Boogie Down is a card that we've seen in almost all Paladins since it was released, so we're making it a little bit slower and just the Finale to compensate for the later play. We're also hitting Garden's Grace to reduce some of the decks from hand burst potential. To that end, we've got our eyes on cards like Shroomskavate, but we like their players are trying out new cards. They like the nerf, unless it's Druid cards, the older cards first. So we're making these changes now, and we'll make further changes later if needed. So if you're still pissed off that Shroomskavate's a card and it's still killing you, if it's still problematic, it will get nerfed, is what they're saying. So hold off for that. And now we have Thaddius Monstrosity. They really don't like adding not less than 1 other than that rogue card. It will now make your odd cost cards cost 2 less, or your even cards cost 2 less depending on the polarity. So you can't just copy it for like cover artists for free, and like all the barrels of sludge cards will cost mana unless you stack this. This card is probably actually terrible now. They have probably finally murdered this monstrosity, but it'll probably get reverted when it goes to Wild. And they do also say that we don't think combo play patterns are inherently bad. Well, what this was bad. And Thaddius isn't a power outlier right now, but he's been standing for a long time and has facilitated several decks with early 1-turn kills and low feelings of agency. We think it's time to make another adjustment to Thaddius and see what standard looks like when he's significantly weaker. Now that we've been able to make this change to Thaddius, we're unbanning Pyrotechnician, and the craftable versions of the card listed above will be eligible for full dust refunds. Diamond Thaddius never has gotten a dust refund. Don't believe that'll happen. There's also an error with the dust refund periods from 28.2.1 to 0.3. So the cards eligible for dust refunds in those patches will be eligible for 2 weeks. So if you missed out on that, those cards, so make sure when you go into your collection type refund when this patch goes live, we'll remind you tomorrow in the patch review. And yeah, Pyrotechnician is no longer banned. There's a bunch of Battlegrounds changes we just don't really care about on the channel. I'll link the patch notes down below. And big news is that they fixed a bug where Shadestone Skulker would cause infinite loops, making Mind Rogue just unbearable and broken. So now when the weapon is given back, the Skulker will no longer have it, meaning it will only return a weapon the first time the Death Rattle is activated on a particular Skulker. So tons of changes, including fix the light show. That was just visual, whatever. Let me know what you guys think about them. Are you happy? Are you sad? What you got with that? Patch goes live again later today, so you can check that out. We'll have our day one patch review going over all the changes, if there's any new stuff in the game or whatever. But overall, it's a pretty massive balance patch. The only thing I don't like personally, still the scam with Shadow Reflections, and Sharpshooter for Demon Hunter did not get hit, which is one of the best decks at High Legend. I kind of anticipate that probably being a problem, but we'll see how it plays out. That card just avoids getting nerfed to 4 mana no matter what. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day and stay salty, my friends.